Okay, we have Brandon back, and we have Gary Ferrara as a special guest on the week of, I guess we'll call it the week of, what, the 8th?
9th.
The 9th, okay. And on the last episode that Brandon and I did, we left off with the mask wearing, and the next thing was the climate change. So I'll start with you. So now, what do you think about this climate change conspiracy?
I think it's... I think there is climate change. I just don't think it's as rapid as what they try to say it is. I think a lot of it is contributing to already our normal Earth path that it's already always gone. Ice age, you know what I mean, very hot, and we're already coming out of an ice age, going into hot weather, where it was much hotter than what it was millions of years ago. It already was. So when they say it's getting hotter for climate, I agree that we're conserving and speeding up the process for it, but at the same time, I don't think it's as fast as what they try to say. What, there's a doomsday timer in New York City for like eight years from now or something.
That's
like,
de Blasio.
Yeah, yeah.
Good old de Blasio, right?
They aren't going to make 8 years.
But this climate change, the Earth getting hotter and colder, this has happened since the beginning of time, right?
Didn't you introduce me 3-4 years ago to Dan? What's his face?
Dan,
the guy that swears all the time. He was the lieutenant in Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
Okay, did you ever hear about his visit to Antarctica?
No.
Well, then you need to go look at that because you were the one that told me about it. Look, my brother-in-law is an atmospheric scientist.
Really?
All right.
What happened to you?
My brother-in-law. There's no DNA involved. I asked him in 1979, and I go, "What's the deal with this acid rain?" He goes, "There isn't any." All right. This is what he told. And I called him 6 months ago, and I said, what is it with this nonsense? Because what he does now is he's out in Montana someplace, and he looks at environmental studies for corporations. And he goes, look, climate changes. Got it? And this is what they do when they go to Antarctica, and they did this 45 years ago. They burrowed down in the ice pack. Mm-hmm. It is so cold that when you go down in the ice pack, they look at layers. And they basically can tell you what the atmosphere looked like 10,000 years ago.
Yep, it traps all the carbon
20,000 years ago. You know what the temperature changes over the last 20,000 years?
What?
1 degree.
Yeah.
So what's the ice pack?
Well,
It's Antarctica. It's ice.
Yeah.
Builds up on top of it. It never melts.
It just kind of refreezes. That's this, the global, what's the heat belt that goes through? Comes down from Antarctica, comes around, it goes back up through the Caribbean, comes back around up to Maine, then comes right back down into Europe, goes around to Africa, then comes back up through China or whatever. It's the
really?
He says, he told me one time, this is years ago, he says the Russians didn't like their cook. There's a bunch of guys. If you listen to that, to Dan, I forget what the guy's name is. I see him once in a while.
Pena.
Dan Pena, P-E-N.
Yeah. Pena.
He
you ever
did
see Dan Pena?
He did a whole thing. He did a whole thing on Antarctica. Yeah, he's crazy. But Steve told me, he says...
he loves Trump.
I'm sure he does.
I think there's pyramids out in Antarctica that they just won't tell you about. I think there's a lot of shit out there.
I don't know. I just know what he told me. But he said the Russians didn't like their cook. And down there, of course, in the wintertime, you don't get any daylight. You just see the sun on the horizon. So when you leave your billet, there's ropes that you hold on to. So they cut the ropes, and they left the guy out, and he died. And then
oh, wow. Holy shit.
You know,
Jesus.
take a class, man. Learn how to cook.
Well, no, in Antarctica, they can't get down deep enough. But they can get scopes down deep down there where they can see full-blown cities. Brian and I were talking about it before. I mean, it's no BS. I mean, it's true.
There's a reason why they don't let anybody go to Antarctica. There's a reason why they don't.
Yeah.
No
well,
one can go
he
there.
he went 3 winters in a row. You fly in the fall, their fall, and you don't get to leave. It's a C-1. It was a C-130 then.
It's like highly classified. Like it's like not allowed for civilian use. Like if you were to take a boat down there, they wouldn't. I don't know if you'd be able to even get on there.
Well, here's the thing: if which they already know, but if they were more public about it, and they said, "Look, we know that there was complete cities, like HOAs and everything, 20,000 years ago." The problem with that would be it would go against everything that you think you know now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
the tourist trade would be just insane.
Yeah.
So they kind of keep that down. But who's invested in this climate change?
A lot of the
No, it was the big
Gore,
guy.
Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Gore.
That's who it was. Yeah, Al Gore. So he's
well, you
he's
can
made
make a
of
model. You have billions and billions off of that. I
Now,
mean,
haven't you seen in 12 years if we don't do something, blah, 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 blah.
yeah.
Now, Dan Pena said, no, he's a billionaire investor, and he's just
they call him the $50 billion man.
yeah, he gets batshit crazy when he does this stuff.
Okay.
He says, "Let me tell you what." He says, "Let me tell you why there's no climate change." He said, "Go read the prospectus on any of these hotel condos up and down the East Florida seaboard. Okay, why would they build those condos there if they thought the sea was going to rise 12 feet?
Yeah.
That's proof it's not there." And you know, big money rules.
Yeah.
It's just like when you get into this election. What's it about? What do they want? Send us money.
Did you see how much money the Democrats put up for all the people that lost? Like the amount of millions above all the
Do
Republicans
you
that won.
understand?
took their seat?
You say you trade stocks, but I was on a bond desk for a while. When interest rates are 20, 15%, the slop is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
You can mark those puppies up 3 points on a retail side. Who knows how much the desk is. Here's another thing. Put 5 pencils in your pocket and go to school. You got 5 pencils. Before long, you're only going to have 1 pencil because you're not paying attention to the other 4. Now you got the 1, you're going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this whole scam is about. It's about the slop. It's about the VIG. Nancy Pelosi wants $3 trillion.
Yeah.
That's $6,000 for every man, woman, child in the United States. Tommy Giabella, they're going to get, they got 6,000 put aside. But here's the thing. Only about 120 million people are going to get $1,200.
Yeah.
Well, where's the rest of it?
All to the big corporations.
Thank you.
It's a bailout for all.
So what do you think about that?
Well, the banks had bigger incentive to deal with bigger companies than they did the small. It was all about the small business. Small business were helping for them, and I was a small business, and all of us were put to the side because the more money that you dealt with, because even though it's my business, just me cutting hair, you know what I mean? I'm only making this, but the bigger corporations, they got bigger incentives that they would get bigger kickbacks for the companies that they help because they're larger amounts. So it was like something like 1.5 million and over in sales that you would make this much off of that. So the banks are incentivized more to go after and help the big guys, which they're already paying their employees already because they already have the money, and they were the ones getting bailed out more. It was like another auto industry bailout.
So it was another 2008, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty much how every bailout is. They just get their pockets fat.
I told you.
They sell all their stock beforehand. All the senators, there's multiple, at least I think 4 or 5 that got not indicted, but under investigation for selling all their stock prior to the pandemic. And you make so much money when you sell at the top to be top, and then you buy it down at the very bottom. You're getting 3 times as much after you sell it.
Well, that's not the point. The point is that there are strict insider rules.
Yeah.
One time, I bought a bank stock just for myself, a small bank stock. I got taken over the next day. The SEC calls me. Okay. Now, we talked about the Big Short and all the other stuff and how they just ignore it. There were, I think I bought 200 shares of this stupid thing. Okay. The SEC called me. No kidding. What'd you know? Well, obviously not a hell of a lot. Or there'd have been more zeros on the trade. You just can't make this shit up, man.
Yeah.
Okay, you just can't make it up. I'll give you another SEC story from my glory days. They caught it was a woman. They caught her with child porn on her computer. So this was when the 2008 thing, and I had some material that was just unbelievable. We lost, by the way. You saw 2008 come and go. That's why I was so happy to do that interview with Matt. I lived that crap. So I said to somebody, I said, let me explain it to you. John Mack or somebody, some big Wall Street guy, they call him in front of the SEC. The SEC attorney is there, and this guy gets off scot-free when he did something, right?
Yeah.
About 2 weeks later, the SEC attorney that was prosecuting the guy is now working for the law firm of the Wall Street guy for $2.5 million.
Yeah, he gets a pay raise.
So you go from a GS-13 to $2.5 million. So I said to somebody, I can't remember who at the time, because we were just howling at the moon. Nothing ever happened. And I said, so she got caught looking at child porn on an SEC computer. It's an SEC attorney. What's that tell you? oh, she's a pervert. And I go, probably, yeah, but what's it tell you? Every attorney in the world knows you can harvest a hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Biden got caught. She's telling you that nobody at the SEC is checking those computers and checking those attorneys.
And she's the one.
Well, she wouldn't been, what's the last thing, you're thinking about? You're in the office at the SEC. Sex? And then sex with children? Come on, this is nuts.
It was crazy that he even walked on the stage when they were doing the president-elect. I saw that. I was like, this is crazy.
They have no shame.
I'm not sure if you remember this. During the DNC convention a few months ago, the person that they put on that commercial that they said was Hunter Biden, that was not Hunter Biden.
Who was it?
It was a body double of him saying him. If you look at that dude that was on the stage, and I posted comparisons like on my social media before it got banned, and it was like literally a body double. Like the hairline, like I cut hair, so I could see when you have different hairlines. Same thing with the George Floyd. The dude that they arrested that said the cop that killed him was not the same dude as it was the cop. It was completely different hairlines, bone structure, the whole 9 yards of it. They look very similar. Don't get me wrong. Like but it's that person that was on Hunter Biden, it was not him. It was it was a commercial. I'll send you the picture of it. I have a picture of it.
He got banned from all kinds of
social media for posting all of it. Yeah,
he was posting facts, and he went to
all the facts.
And we went over last time. He went to DuckDuckGo.
They were allowing me to not even almost post videos on my Snapchat when I would try and edit it. So you have to click edit and then send it to add to your story. Yeah. It wouldn't come across the loading part after I was doing it for I was posting heavy videos. That's the only thing I have now, Snapchat. I was posting heavy videos, and then after the third day, it really stopped even loading across to even post those. So I can only post pictures, no more videos. I can't post.
And
anymore.
To backtrack, just to fill Gary in, we went through it last time, but somebody he was posting all this heavy stuff, right? Because you can't get it on Google. I mean, heavy stuff, but facts to base it, and he's dead set that somebody broke in his house to scare him. Quickly, tell him that little story just to fill him in because he'll be fascinated by this.
Well, I came home and I live on the third story balcony and my balcony door was wide open. We got back home filming after 3:30 in the morning, and it was still wet watermarks coming to my house. I have an internet cable that hooks all the way to my Xbox that comes across my balcony thing. That was kicked out. There was mud trails on my balcony door. It was all there. It was fucking freaky as shit. And another girl that I know, she told me this guy was posting a bunch on Reddit anonymously, and a shadow police force came with not even a real warrant came, took all his shit, took all of his electronics out, and he was in some random prison. He said somewhere. He goes, he got no phone call, nothing, and he said he just got out. And she FaceTimed me 2 weeks ago. And she was it was random, really early in the morning.
I might not buy the pyramids in Antarctica, but I wouldn't put anything beyond these people in DC.
No, it's real. It's real. You hear about the Epstein, how they had all these fake impersonation cops. What's it tell you that they don't have people running the whole around everywhere? You got so much money. Look at how much money Bloomberg lost just in the election, and then another 200 million just on keeping Biden to get elected. You know what I mean? And that wasn't even a drop in the hat. It was over $1 billion, nothing. So when you got people, here's 10 grand, here's 10 grand. 10, how many people you can pay off for 10 grand out of $1 billion? You can get a lot of people going around the United States, doing what's your business to do. You know what I mean?
I was skeptical at first when he told me the story.
Which story?
Well, that somebody broke in his house. You know what I mean?
Why would you be skeptical?
Well, because I've never gone down this lane. My lane was more, scientists and what happened with the Big Bang, space things. Yeah. I study that very heavily, and I study chemicals very heavily. But at first, when he told me this, I was kind of whatever. But then, when we did a couple of videos, and including the video that I did with Matt Cox about Frank Amodeo, and in that shoot, we had all the documents from his indictment. So we had Frank Amodeo ordering 16 F-15 and F-16 fighter jets. And what would happen is he would order them. He had the idea to take over the world. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, he really did. His entire plan in his life was to be empire of the world. Okay? And he built business after business after business. Well, at one point he owned 70 businesses. But he was scamming the IRS. But he was doing it very carefully. So he was able to get away with it for a while. Long story short, it's very long. The document video is about 2.5 hours. But Matt had all the documents. So in that document, it's Frank with the 16 fighter jets. And he would get them shipped to Cyprus. Okay? So now they were allowed to go to Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to take all the missiles off and everything else. So it's like you buy a Bentley, but there's no engine or anything else. Well, then the Russians would come in and package it back together and put the missiles back on and everything.
That's how you get.
So now he had, you know what I'm saying? You know,
now you got real live fighter jets ready to run.
No, right. Okay. So now, you know, he goes to a bunch of things. He meets more people, blah, 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 blah. Now he sponsors NATO. And in the indictment, in the documents, he has the second biggest, it's called a banner of his company. He sponsors NATO. So George H. Bush invites him to the White House. Now Matt had the picture of Frank Amodeo sitting next to George Bush on a NATO briefing. Okay? And I put that in the shoot and everything else. And I clip it. I cut it up to clip it.
Yeah.
You know, put it on to attract people because it's really a crazy story.
Yeah.
And I went to put it on Facebook and they denied it for political whatever. And I tried to put 6 clips up and all 6 were denied. One was a fighter jet. One was the George W. Bush.
They won't let you post it.
He was in the Congo.
Well, that's what the Republican senators, actually even some Democrats, had the Google and
they were under the House committee back in August.
Yeah.
It was
well, no, just I think
several
ago.
times.
A couple weeks ago.
It's
Why,
been
it
going
started
on.
in August.
But the media is so easy. The senators are old guys, so they don't know. So they're able to word their ways around the questions.
Go easy now.
And it's very easy to get around
you
it.
guys tell me, why in the world these young guys are billionaires? Can't they be appreciative of the country that allowed them to be billionaires?
Yeah. You cannot be able to, but they'll allow Olbermann to go off tweeting to his thousands of followers saying, President needs to be in jail for treason tonight.
Who's Olbermann?
He was an ESPN analyst. He's freaking...
ESPN analyst.
Yeah, he had his Olbermann corner or something.
Then he had some TV show on CNN.
And then he went to YouTube as a freaking full Democratic cuck. Like, he's...
But here's the deal.
Cook?
A cuck.
Oh, I thought you said cook.
Cuck.
Don't even...
I won't even waste my time with him.
No, he's horrible.
He's terrible.
But look, you go to Europe, okay, and people say, "Oh, Europe is so nice and it's so lovely." And this, you have a Douane, D-O-U-A-N-E. I don't know if I say it right. It's a tax. It's a value-added tax.
You know what that is, Brian?
No.
You go when you buy something, okay. Like as a GI, I could buy a Volkswagen for this much. Well, if a Belgian bought it, it was this much. You taxed 25% on it. When I was there in 1972, and I was in England, and I was in Belgium, and I was in Germany, and you think they live like us? You know, it's better now, okay? But the guy next door was a Belgian soldier. He was married, and he bought his first car when he was like 32. They were riding bicycles. They don't have the standard of living that we have.
No.
And these frickin' dweebs are going to come in here. Ezekiel Emanuel.
Yeah.
Ron Emanuel's brother. He's going to be Biden's COVID czar. He's going to ship the vaccine overseas first.
What I really think the social media
Help me with
giants
that.
are, what I think the social media giants are is when they got to a certain level of power, CIA moved in on that. And they're able to collect all the data, and that's all it is now is data. Like, I feel like they know more about you than you actually know about yourself just based off every time you click on things. Like, I mean, I had eczema, and I was talking about it. I'm not even searching for it. I'd go on Facebook when I had a Facebook, eczema ads. You know what I mean? Like, it's always hearing. Like, you see Zuckerberg when he goes in public, you'll see like a tape over his microphone hearing. Like, I feel like it's all been activated. They can weaponize pretty much all the social media for the interest that they want.
It's funny he says that because there was a guy on Rogan that studies the algorithms of YouTube and everything else. And what would happen is say a woman types in, I was just pregnant, what's the best way to lose weight? Okay? So now she gets into these woman groups. This goes Facebook, YouTube, the whole nine. Now, the recommended video after that is anorexic. So some
pushing.
girls who's anorexic. So now she goes, the the woman that may be having a tough time losing weight, she may click on, oh, well, this girl's anorexic, and clicks on that. And what has happened, and he was on it. I mean, these girls would watch this, and next thing you know, they're anorexic.
Yeah.
Because they're watching this, and it's influence. It's in the social media is influencing them, because
it goes after what it can like perfectly tune what's gonna hit.
Because it's watch time, Gary.
Perfect senses.
See, it's all about watch time. So they have algorithms that, and Brandon can tell you more than I can, is that when you watch something, so if you watch, again, I'm pregnant, how to lose weight after pregnancy, for whatever reason, the algorithm will pull up some chick, some woman that was anorexic. And then just by nature, right, Brandon? I mean, she just clicks on it to see what happened. It's kind of interesting to see if the girl made it or whatever. And then, but a younger girl does it sometimes. And now this gets in their head about anorexia, and next thing you know, now they're anorexic. And I mean, it's really taking a toll.
That's why Kyrie Irving came out and was like, the Earth's flat. And he was like, I literally was just watching YouTube videos of like, I got into it and it just kept going and going and going. He goes, I genuinely believed the Earth was flat by everything. Like and I've been down that road. And at one point I went down like the flat Earth thing, and I was going like days and days and days. And I was like, this is like a lot of convincing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to go to space. I want to see it for myself. You know what I mean? I see videos and all that, and I believe space is real and everything, but I want to see it for myself and see it with my own two eyes. But
now speaking of the space, Buzz Aldrin was on, and he came out live on, I think it was MSNBC, and completely coherent. Now, he's on his way out. He's got cancer now. The first guy to land on the moon. And
if that was even real.
No, it was real. It was real. Because because they asked him about that. And what happened was, with the space landing, like the moon thing, okay, so they did a practice, say like here in this studio, to prepare to go to the moon.
Yeah.
So they videotaped it, right? Because you're prepping to go up there for the first time. Well, it leaked, some asshole leaked it in the studio, not actually on the moon. Okay, so now what happened was that person leaked it, so you see some photos that don't look right. And those are the ones that they were doing practicing to go there.
Okay.
And then you see other photos that they're actually there. I mean, they were there. But what you're seeing that contradicts it is some asshole, took the video in, say, this studio when they were practicing before they went to the moon. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Proven, done. Well, he comes on because I guess he's on his way out. And he says, look, the pyramids were built by extraterrestrial life. This is Buzz Aldrin.
I believe it.
I mean, he's going into all this stuff about Mars and everything else, and he's saying that what happened, now I'm just telling you what Buzz Aldrin said, is that the you can call them aliens, whatever the hell you want to call them, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at it, it kind of makes sense. And I looked it up. I'm sure Brandon can elaborate. This is a little bit different. And, you go from, you have a monkey, you have this, you have that. Well, it was taken forever for any type of evolution to happen. It was taken forever. Now, all of a sudden, boom. What was it, like 10,000 years? We had talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
In a real quick time, we went from Homo sapien, is that right, Brandon?
Yeah. I mean,
to
Neanderthal.
To this. Like really, really, really quick. Now, the mushrooms helped a lot of things happen, and a lot of things.
It's like a jump in evolution, like a speeding up of the evolution.
Like insane amount of speed.
Like in the pyramids, like that they have built, those blocks they're perfect. They're not cut blocks that they piece together. They're full size blocks, and when you look at this, they're beaten up now, but when they did them, like one of them is like they're perfectly in line, like the exact lines of Earth, like directly on the center of where it's supposed to be, and the one is like perfectly in center with like North Star, and the other two, because there's three of them, are in perfect unison of the South Pole and the North Pole, which is insane. And they even said that the diameters of how perfectly lined up it is. What's the word for it? Like flat, like
alignment, mathematical.
Yeah. Like at a perfect
mathematically symmetrical.
The margin of error for it was today's standards of like how small of the, it was like 0.04 of a millimeter off of
And
like
there
what it
is
was, and that's
no
exactly
way back then that they could have built that. How in the
No.
hell could you build
like, well,
them?
you see these things around the world, and they're like these giant steps, like in China and stuff. And then you see, I mean, I've seen pictures of like these massive, large human bones. Like, I mean, not like, I'm saying femur bones as big as the table. Like, and I mean, who needs to say that there could be massive 20-foot beings back then, like that were, you know what I mean? That people
Well,
all hailed
that's
and
what
all
he was
that,
saying.
and
He was saying that, you know, you can
look at
believe it
their
or not believe it.
tombs.
I'm just telling you what the first guy that landed on the moon said, and he's about to die.
And the hieroglyphs too that they have are they're very telling of like extraterrestrial beings that like I think came down, conquered everybody, and that's what it's crazy to the more you look into
I don't
it,
want to
it's
sound like a nutcase, but I mean I think
like
it's
that
true.
one picture of the pyramids that I showed you. Like,
Yeah.
so this is like, these are pyramids right here, and these right here are the Mayan pyramids right here, the complex of the Teotihuacan in Mexico.
Talking about Mayan or
Like, yeah,
Egyptian?
just all the different pyramids all mean something differently in today's society, which is weird. Like this right here that's the computer motherboard of most computers, and that's how those pyramids are lined up. That right there
That's
is
what he's talking about, Gary, right there.
Orion, and yeah,
So explain that, Brandon.
Oh, the computer chip. That's what
yeah,
you were talking about.
and that's the
before.
exact topography of that.
So okay, so it
Look how
says,
insane
what is
that
that?
is.
Siren Egypt computer chip. What's that mean?
That's just one of the things
Chips.
that they made out there. Well, that's just one of the buildings.
So how do these
Those
three
are
connect?
those are the Mayan pyramids at the bottom, and that's like the computer motherboard that we use to run most things.
today.
Yeah, and look at
Holy
the
hell.
topography. Look how similar it is.
Gary, see that?
Yeah.
And look at those Siren Egypt. Like, you mean to tell me it's very
That's-
weird. You know
that's
what I mean? It's
insane.
very, and then you look at them and they're fully mummified perfectly.
So in other
Thousands
words,
and
so in
thousands
other words,
and
that's
thousands of
today's
years.
computer motherboard,
Yeah,
and then below that
it's
is
the
the
Mayan
pyramid.
pyramids.
Wow, that I never seen.
That's the Mayan pyramids and down in Mexico.
Wow.
So when you see things like that, it's like, it's very like, and those aren't small pyramids. Like that pyramid would take you all day to climb. You know what I mean? Like, so it's very large pieces, and it's
Now,
it's
Gary,
very weird.
you're somewhat of a contractor, right? How in the hell could you build that pyramid like that? I mean, even in
I
perfect.
know what the
I'm saying into
accepted wisdom is. You know, slave labor and
you still can't build that pyramid.
I don't know.
You think today you could build that pyramid?
How were they pulling those blocks up in Egypt that high up? That
Listen, I had a guy. I sat there. I bought a coal furnace, and I had this kid. The guy was born exactly the same day as me, and he was he called himself a plumber. Never had a license. But different people are intelligent for different reasons, and there were like 4 of us there, and we had this huge coal unit. It would heat and hot water 9 families. So
Wow.
I said to him, well, how do we get it in here? This is 1980.
Yeah, but you're comparing cold water to a
Well,
pyramid
hold
that's
on.
9,000 feet high.
I get it.
How many years ago are they supposed to be?
I get it. But what he
40,000 years old.
what he did
100,000 years old.
What he did by
Possible.
himself was he used the come along and steel pipe, and the rest of us didn't help him.
He just did the whole thing.
He just dropped it in there, and then he said, "Well, keep the oil in there, and we're going to get the copper pipe, and we're going to pipe it through to the other side." And I'm just sitting there, and I'm going,
But that's
"I
like,
can't believe
I mean,
what this guy
that's
can
like,
do."
But
That
that's like
sounds like
that's like me
apples to
telling,
oranges to
that's
me.
like telling you to cut Tommy's hair. I'm gonna be like, "Brrr, do all this," but you're gonna be like, well, what do I? You know what I mean? You to build something on that scale is.
Well, what I'm
is-
talking about
We're not doing a
is,
sky.
What I'm talking about is that human ingenuity
Yeah,
could
yeah.
have come up with something.
But it's
that-
weird
that
how
we
it like
don't know
lines
about.
up with our stars, and like even to today when they say it, like
Hey,
they're like,
the Romans had hospitals.
I know.
And they were open air hospitals, and they, Pasteur didn't come up with pasteurization or homogenation until 1870, but the Romans must have known something about viral
know about that?
bacterial
But
infection.
Romans were what, only 2,000 years old. Like they're
Well,
not far
supposedly.
from
See, I don't believe this year thing.
what the
I think they're all off from the years.
what you think.
I mean, from the beginning of time. I mean, because, evolution contradicts see, there's two ways to look at it when you study it, right? So evolution contradicts basically the Bible. Let's just say the Bible. But then there's other things in the Bible that contradicts evolution, and science kind of contradicts it too. Because when you look at a microscope, you can see the Big Bang happening, but that's all you can see.
But they don't know it. You know what I mean?
Right. So, I mean, in my personal opinion, I'm sold on the pyramids. There's no way in hell 40 years ago. I don't even think today you could build those pyramids. I don't think today.
Oh, you could build those pyramids today.
I don't think
Look
so.
at the Luxor.
Not like that.
With them, they have tombs going, secret passages all throughout them to make that through that.
How long did it take to build one? I forget.
Oh, I don't even know.
A couple of 100 years, right?
They weren't long. They weren't short periods of time. I know that, but
yeah.
I mean,
you know how contractors are.
Yeah.
Now
they weren't on.
Well,
they weren't
need,
any money. Money time.
And we'll be here Tuesday.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask both of you.
We gotta wait for this to come in. It'll be another 3 days.
I want both your opinions on this, right? So now, before we move on to the next thing, is why do you think now that they've put on national TV, basically, that they've identified 5 or 6 tic-tac-toe, let's just call them,
the whole.
I mean, spacecraft that were not made here. Now, they put that on the news.
Almost all of our quantum technology was reversed alien technology. That's how most of it.
But why come out with it public now?
Well, because it's one, when they release it, they're already 20 years ahead of what they're telling you. To be honest with you, when they were telling you, like the helicopter that crashed for Osama bin Laden, they went directly back, not for Osama bin Laden, but to destroy that technology because it created like no sound as a helicopter coming in. It was like a high-tech special forces helicopter. It's the technology. It's on radar, undetectable by radar or anything. They reverse engineer it. The quantum technology came in the 90s when, after they were able to find stuff. Like, I mean, when, what's it called? Area 51 happened. What were we able to do? Go to the moon not too far after that? It was 69 we went to the moon?
July the 20th.
Well, when did Area 51 get created? Like 1960. It wasn't very long after.
I have no idea what it is.
But that was when that one Roswell crash happened. And very similar after that. I think they found aliens after that. And the Pentagon released those 3 or 4 videos of aerial. They call it aerial phenomenon.
Yeah.
And there's an actual law in the military where you're not allowed to speak about it if you come across it. And it's like technically like whistleblowing, treason.
But I mean, why do you think they released those tic-tac-toe videos now?
People aren't allowed. One, I think all this shit that's been happening is all adding in for the New World Order. It's all steps in, and it's just, why not throw another wrench in there? You know what I mean? What's new? It's that's what I think all this stuff is, New World Order type. Able to put the masks on. People are able to. The whole world's able to lock down. That's never been done before. Billions of people, over 7 billion people to lock down. Mandate masks. You already see Germany and France already reiterating second lockdowns. England, I think, is on another lockdown. You're only allowed to authorize after the government's allowed to go. It's all about one world. And to let that out, the reason they don't let everyone have the information is because people would go fucking crazy if they knew all the information.
Now, what do you think about that, Gary? You're a veteran here in this.
About what?
What he just said.
I just think it's power. You're right. You don't let it out.
Because you have that over them. So when people don't know about it, you're on a need-to-know basis. It's all compartmentalization. Like that's what everything is now. You're gonna look at the whole entire the first nuclear bomb that was created, the Manhattan Project. There's thousands of people working on it, and no one knew what it was. And everyone was kept from knowing it, and it was a nuclear bomb that they were building.
When was this?
The first nuke, 1944, Hiroshima.
45. August 45. Well, what guy by the name of Oppenheimer, nuclear fission. If you look back, Hitler had heavy water.
Hitler had the best scientists, and all of their scientists was Operation Paperclip, and we took in all the German scientists.
Do you remember
Operation infiltrated everything?
No, but I know
Operation Paperclip is we pretty much kept doing the Nazi science, but in America, and they didn't get in trouble.
Well, Werner von Braun, they brought him
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
He was the V2
most
guy.
of these Brauns and Von Bayers and all that you see on, I can't think of something else off the top of my head. When you hear that name, that's the German scientist. That was probably the Nazi scientist, but you'll never know about it.
Yeah.
Scientists like von
'Cause
Braun,
they're
he
they're thought
just
differently.
did the science. He didn't care
Yeah.
about whether it was a Nazi, whether he was killing English
Yeah.
citizens.
But I mean, a
Like
lot
what
of them
he's
did
talking
those
about with
tests on the people and everything.
Oak
That's where you
Ridge,
get them.
Tennessee. That's where they developed, and I think it was a couple of $1 billion, which was huge money.
Wait, what was it?
Oak Ridge, Tennessee, is where they developed the atomic bomb.
Oh, okay.
And what he's talking about is you'd be over here working on this, you'd be over here working on that. There were only a few people that knew nuclear fission and what they were trying to do. And then when they developed the bomb and they had a test bomb, they weren't sure what it was going to do. They didn't know if it was going to blow up the entire world. So they set one off. And then they only had
That was
two.
that ship out there, right?
No, they set the first one in the desert.
Okay.
But then they had two. Dropped one on.
They shot a bunch in the atmosphere too. That was.
No, they had two. They blew one up in Hiroshima. Japanese didn't surrender. They blew the second one up.
That was
we didn't have any more, but Truman bluffed them into surrendering. But then Truman thought he had this big secret. And it's late at night, so I'm a little pooped. But there was the conference, and Truman was going to tell Stalin, who was our ally, about it, and Stalin already knew.
Jesus.
Now, you're talking about something, at that time, we were the only country that had it.
Yeah.
And we should just blown everybody up and, had America and the hell with everybody.
So now, switching lanes, what do you think about this Hammer and Scorecard thing?
It all goes back to the control that the CIA has. Like it all goes back to it.
The story is, when was the election? November the 3rd. I think it was the 2nd. You had McInerney up there. And what got me was the first time I saw this, and I'll give implied integrity to Lieutenant General McInerney. Rose as high. I think he was the 3rd highest guy in the Air Force. And it was a CIA project. And I'm putting this together with, all these, with Sidney Powell and all this.
You're talking about this guy here.
I'm talking about Thomas McInerney.
Right there, right?
Fired from Fox News, by the way.
Yeah.
And
He was on Fox News?
Yeah, for a long time. That's where I recognized him from. But he came out and had Bannon, and he was talking about it. I can't remember who I heard what from because I've looked at everything. But Obama, it was in the CIA. Obama took it from the CIA and used it in 2012. Hillary screwed it up in 2016, or you'd have had a President Clinton.
Right there it says, Democrats colluding with CIA to launch intelligence operation that alters voting machines results. Report. The day before the election, General, how do you say his name?
McInerney?
Spoke to two mics about details surrounding Scorecard and called on the White House and Trump campaign to take action before voting started. What we're seeing happening in Michigan and Wisconsin have all the trademarks of a hammer and scorecard operation. As I noted earlier, this is him saying this, the fix is in. The general talked today with two mics once again to give an update and to call on the White House to take immediate action.
Well, I don't, all this conspiracy stuff's a little over my head. I haven't got that long to worry about it. So I don't,
He thinks he's going to croak soon.
Yeah. I'm only got another 3. I'm 69.
Watch that mic, Brandon.
I'm half, my life's half over now, so. But what he said, this was the spooky part. You guys talk about all this stuff. He said the night before the election, he says, what's going to happen is Trump's going to have these huge leads, and they're going to disappear. So I think I went to bed at 10 o'clock that night, and Trump was up 600,000 in Pennsylvania.
I know.
John James was up in Michigan. The Army helicopter pilot, the Republican. You know what the fight for the Senate's about. If they get the Senate, we're communist, okay? They're going to do all
they have the
kinds
House
of
and the
stuff.
Senate.
Yeah. So
Not good.
No.
Keep that USA hat on, my man.
It's
So,
bad.
but what he said was exactly what happened because I got up about 3 o'clock, And I checked, and I go, oh, my
It was
God,
all
this is
flipped.
unbelievable. And what Hammer and Scorecard do is they can change up to 3% of the votes. I don't know how they do it. There's a company by the name of Dominion who has these programs, and they're in Georgia. There's an algorithm that tells them how much they need.
So when they say glitch, it's someone's putting an algorithm coded in there for
Right.
that to
Now,
happen.
this
There's no glitch.
I was telling Tommy, this is the way it looks. I think they had local people. You've seen some of those poll workers,
Yeah.
okay? You know, POLL, not POLE, because they're too fat to be POLE workers. but the they probably told them, and they would go, hey, homie, you know, whatever you are, look and see where he is, how much we're behind, and get this many votes in. We want to win by blah.
Yeah.
And then when you're down 600,000, the guy just did what he was supposed to do. But what he did was he exposed the entire thing because those numbers were so crazy.
Yeah. That it made
it obvious.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're not letting people come out about it, and the media, they came out with Biden winning an elect for a reason, and that was to get everyone wild up, cheering. And you see it all. People are in the streets parading, the ones that hated him. You know what I mean? The straight liberals that hated Trump to his guts, no matter what. And then when things start to come back, what's going to happen? I guarantee you, riots are going to be happening. Antifa is going to come back. Black Lives Matter are going to be coming through all the streets and
They're
wrecking
already
havoc.
fighting with
Yeah.
each other.
They already are. Even after it. I mean, it's insane.
The Democrats,
They
if
decriminalized
Biden,
all the
Biden
drugs.
wins, and by the way, you saw Pompeo today, and he was laughing. Trump's going to drop a bomb on Hannity. He's probably doing it right now. I think they have something
9:30.
huge that's going to. It's just a big surprise, a big smoking gun.
Yeah.
I look at all the because I trade, so I can sit there and I can just look over and look at all the tweets, and I can flip on. You know, I don't miss
That's
anything.
what he does too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't miss anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like something's coming, but let's say that Biden does win. The Democrats are so torn and they're so greedy, and look at Nadler and look at Schiff. Those guys, if you were in high school with them, you'd have grabbed them by their ankles and shaken their lunch money out over the stairwell.
Yeah, they're fucking sleazeballs.
Oh my God, they're
They're
disgusting.
They're just slime ball little
And then you
rats.
get some
That's all they are.
old broad with red and purple fucking hair, and Jesus Christ, it's like, you know, what's the matter? You can't live like the rest of us, and if you want to live like that, that's fine.
Do it
okay?
on your own. I don't have to conform to that. The average person is not doing that.
Look, they can live in a Donald Trump world. You and I can't live in that world.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's the difference to me for the whole thing. What about all the people that you want when we're in trouble? You're going to ask some kid to don the cloak of the Republic, the cloth of the Republic, and go die for you when you can't even respect our rights?
Yeah.
How about cops? When is it going to get to the point where the cop says, I ain't doing this. I'll go pack groceries or get in the welfare line.
Obama was the one who created all the tension between the cops and everything. That's where it just started all of it, because he kept bashing them. So then it created that distrust with the police. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot.
Created that tension.
That tension, and then when Trump became in, it was the perfect fire just to light it up. He's a racist. He's a racist. But every single rapper rapped about this, man, for years and years and years in every song. The second he becomes a president, now he's a racist all of a sudden. I've yet to see him say anything racist. I mean, there's clips where they've made racist,
he never
but
has.
they'll clip it out to fit the narrative.
What do? They project on you everything that they are that's bad, and you get Biden up there. Well, he lies.
Yeah.
Well,
you're
he
able to
does
feed
this.
into it very easily. So like, and the racist thing is the perfect term. So like, I wore this hat to work, and someone was like, "You're a Trump supporter," and I was like, "I support America." And meanwhile, I've never been ever racist or anything like that. I've had, you know what I mean. I've always had friends of many colors. I don't really care if you're a shit person. You're a shit person. That doesn't matter to skin color to me. That's just the way how I've always looked at it. And she tried to say, "Do you believe in systematic racism in the United States?" And I was like, "No, I don't." I was like, what I do
That's what
believe.
it's coming to, though.
And the first response back was, you're racist. And I was like, how am I racist? And I was like, one, I think I said there's so many opportunities in the United States for any person of color to succeed and do well for themselves. I have a lot of friends that are of color, and they're doing very well. There's nothing keeping you down saying no. Now, do I believe if you're doing bad things and all of that, trouble's more often going to come to you? Like, and I was on that end where I was in trouble selling drugs and all that, and trouble always seemed to knock on my door, and whether I was white or not, and I had the same problems always occur or not. It's when you do those things, trouble's going to be knocking where you know you're not supposed to be doing something. If you go to work, pay your taxes, do your job, you never have to worry. I've never had to worry about that, and I don't see people being knocked down because of that. If you work hard, you'll do well in the country, and that's just how it is.
Well,
and
what's sad is that
it doesn't make sense.
Is that they want to give these cops, first off, they want to cut the police.
Defund them, yeah.
Defund them. Second off, you're starting them out, if lucky, in a good state. At $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
With benefits. Okay.
To get shot at.
So after taxes, what do you make? 22. Okay. So now, every day of your life, you're pulling somebody over. You don't know what's in there. I mean, you don't know. Every day, you don't know if you're going to make it home to your family. And now you want to cut them. You want to cut the police force. That's just insane. And then on top of that,
the equipment that they need.
And then on top of that, so you have 1 million police officers, and you got 3 bad ones. Just like there's 3 bad cookies in every jar, right?
Yeah.
But they hound on those 3 bad ones that did something wrong. But that's in every industry.
But what I don't agree with is that they protect those bad ones.
What about the other 900,000 cops that are decent guys?
I think there's a lot of what I think is the problem is, and I think this is a problem in my instance. I think that the unions protect the bad cops too well, that the bad cops can still keep being a bad cop. And there's a difference when it comes down to when it's the law, you cannot have like some good and some bad. You can only have good. You can have a bad barber and get a bad haircut and your hair will grow back. If you get locked up for something, that can fuck your whole life up for the rest of your life. That's a big difference where you can't have just a few, and that's okay. Like, there can be none. And that's what I do agree that some of these, some of the shootings, I agree that are justifiable. Some of them I disagree and think that should have not happened. And I go with both ways how it looks. But how it is now, it's, oh no, if you agree with this one, you have to agree with all of them. No, I agree with these ones were justified with the police. These ones I don't agree. But that's not the world. It's one or all. You know what I mean? And the first thing, just with that girl, it was either I agree with systematic racism, or if not, I'm a racist now. And I'm like, so now you've been working with me for over a year, girl. Now all of a sudden I'm a racist out of nowhere because I just said that once. No, I don't believe that. Like, that's crazy. That statement right there, just so quick to shoot out, just shows everything that what the country has turned into of the blinding of the social media into everyone's head. They're all thoughts given to you from the social media, not your actual free thought of what's happening. And I mean, you don't go down the street, and don't get me wrong, you got racist people of every color, but you don't go down the street and you don't see racism like that. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, there can be in certain situations, but
it goes both ways.
The grand scheme, do you really think the United States is racist? No, you can't say yes. You cannot say it is. And that's what I don't, you know what I mean?
Look, I'll tell you, we can't do anything about it.
No.
It's the leaders of that community that got to do something. And who always tries to take the reins? Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. And
they're the ones who have profited so much off of the race biting that they're
Jesse
the ones
Jackson
trying to speak up for it. How about give all your money then to people that you're trying to help? Because one, the only thing I've seen is you make millions of dollars off of people suffering.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing is, in all the rioting of the cities, who are they run by? Were all these police shootings, who are they run by, these police sources? Democrat lawyers and mayors. Guess who they go for every 4 years is the black vote. Why? That sounds racist in itself saying that. But people don't realize that. And that's the craziest thing is when they say we only matter every 4 years, I even hear people say it, so you're already saying it and you acknowledge it. But yet you don't change the discourse of it. You know what I mean? This world's fucking getting crazier and crazier.
And why in the world these states with all these problems just don't call the feds and say, hey, look, come and whack this out in 10 minutes? It's all politics.
No, it's all that they're withholding it for a reason. They want it to get
you
back.
Can't go to a restaurant with your girl or your wife. You can't go to a restaurant, but you can go protest 2 feet away from somebody with no mask on and go haywire.
You saw the celebrations with Biden
in New York.
This has been going on. Okay, so this is across the bridge is Lake Worth, Florida. I can't remember when you moved here, but it maybe the late 1990s, early 2000s. The Lake Worth police were told, if you find an illegal immigrant, ignore him, let him go, leave him alone.
Jesus.
Acorn ran the city. Remember Acorn? Acorn was the liberal beginning, whatever. They would pay people to go down here on Lake Avenue and eat out of garbage dumpsters during the dinner hour just to destroy the restaurant trade. All this stuff happened, and we were always electing the same people. So there was a guy on my block. I was too busy at the time to get involved in local stuff. I was just working my tail off. And we won one year. And I go, how'd we win? And he told me, he says, well, we had poll watchers and we went down. They would fill a lease out for somebody that made them look like it lived in the city, and they would go down there and register to vote like they lived here. So this is...
In North Carolina, they're giving out free IDs to everybody.
This is...
That could scan so you could vote.
This is something... Well, it was like having Matt here. Matt was a small fry. But using Matt, I showed you what was going on nationwide. So you take a look at Acorn locally 25 years ago. Well, that's now what's going on nationwide again.
Yeah.
It's just a big scam.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the hammer and the scorecard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, what's he saying here? Because I what I understood was when I told, and he didn't want his name mentioned, is that so. Let's just say, like, right, we have Wisconsin up, right? Okay, so I forget which one was the state that stopped the counting. It might have been Michigan, or it might have been Wisconsin too. But one of them stopped counting at, like, say midnight, but then they started counting it again at 4 a.m.
That's when they added a whole bunch.
Well, the hammer and the scorecard thing is that the computer comes in and it gives votes to this, gives votes to that, and then the number's just off, like 3,000 votes, so it's not obvious. Now, why would they stop counting at 12, but then start counting again at 3, 4 a.m.?
Because they knew what they needed, and they were bringing the votes in from
now,
outside.
do you understand these stats here?
What I noticed too was what the whole plan was once they realized that there was a lot more support for Trump than they originally expected, the reason that these main swing states all said it's going to take us time to count was we're waiting for all of Trump's votes to get in, and then we're going to say all of our mail-in ballots are going to come in, and that was what they were counting to wait.
They knew how many they needed. And don't
yeah,
forget,
well, wait until you're done counting, and I'm just going to put mine above you.
Yeah,
I'm just going to one-up you.
And that's exactly what he did.
And
that's
you could see
exactly what they did.
And they were showing how the Dominion was doing it even with other incumbents. It was like Matt McConnell up 16,000 and the other person's down by 14. Then they would switch it and he would be like down. They would take 8,000 votes away and the other person would go up exactly 8,000.
Yeah, and that was the computer module doing it, right?
Yeah.
And it would just do it just a little bit.
Yeah, and it was doing it on the air as the votes were coming in.
But where they screwed up was Pennsylvania, Georgia.
Well, when you do it too widespread, you can tell very easily. And in Michigan, I sent you, there was 2,500 dead people that registered. There was someone that was born in 1823 that was registered. There was 25,000 that were duplicates. Like, it's just, there's so many just all across the board.
Now, while Gary looks at that, now Trump's got to have something strong. He can't go and say, "Look, I need a recount." He can't go and say, "Look, this is what happened." I think he's just been
biling it all up.
He's got to have
golfing.
a bomb.
He was golfing that day.
He's got to have a bomb.
If he was golfing, he's not worried about anything.
Because you know that if
some of the recounts are mandatory.
I know, I know, but
they're
he
all
can't.
being audited.
What I'm telling you is that he can't go to the courts and say, "Look, I need a recount," because they're just going to bury him anyway. So this is just my opinion. The way Trump is, and we all know how Trump is, for him to not be on live TV going haywire, hitting a golf ball, doing his tweet thing, he's got to have something in his pocket.
He's not worried. I don't think so.
That is about to rock.
Watch the Pompeo clip when you get home.
Another
Well,
one that
The
I
guy who goes, well, we're getting ready for the transition for the second Trump term, and he laughs.
So what the hell's the bomb?
probably
Well,
that
I don't know.
he's gonna say, "Oh, trust me, I won by a lot."
Okay,
Well-
but what's he gonna bring to the table?
That he can So what I think it is what I saw online was all the real ones were with QFS blockchain,
What's that?
and so they're encrypted. So you can create and forge all the ballots that you want because they look like pieces of paper, but they all have a watermark on them. And a few months ago, there was something said about watch the water, and apparently in the 2018 midterms, they found out about all the fraud, and apparently Trump created a whole new DHS, which oversees all the ballots, and they were able to create all of these. And now, so if you live in this area, your ballot can only go here, and it registers in that blockchain, and it okay, locked in. Tommy, ballot here, comes here, boom. So now we know. So now when they say, oh, Tommy has one down in Miami now, he all these ballots of Tommy are gone, but no one really reiterates and blocks them all. So it looks like Tommy got 5 votes, but in all these areas, but it throws something back to the blockchain being like, whoa, this one can only go to this one. So that's what I've been heard. So when you have all these out-of-state votes coming in through different states, it throws the system haywire, and it's like, okay, that's a fake, that's a fake.
And I can't. I saw that from a couple of sources, and I can't confirm. So that
I saw
but that could be one thing. Then another thing could be, you're more aware of this than I. You get these people in here, and they all get the wah-wahs, and, oh, yeah, let's go. Let's beat this guy. I hate Trump, this and this and everything. Hello, Mr. Kitely, this is Gary Ferrara from the FBI. We'd like you to come into our office. We have some questions about you as a poll worker.
But I'm saying,
I think they're doing a lot of investigating too.
Well, then,
but that's not enough.
People were posting all with throwing away Trump votes. Like it was, like I'm like, you're treasoning yourself.
But here's the thing: he's got to come with a hammer. He can't come with that bullshit. That's not going to work.
So maybe
because look, I know the courts. But I mean, you guys know a lot more than me, but I know the courts better than both of you.
I bet you do.
Okay, and it's a whole shit show to get to the Supreme Court.
We're trying to figure out what he could have. He could have the QSF. Maybe they've got an inside guy.
They have people whistleblowing regardless.
Yeah,
so
well, did you see what they did to the
they
post
were
guy?
trying to coerce him.
The
Yeah,
IG came in and
they did what? I don't know.
They came in and browbeat him, and he signed a piece
What do you
of
mean?
paper.
Who?
telling him that it wasn't as bad as what he's saying.
The post office guy.
Okay, so there's a post
Hopkins.
office guy. Start from the beginning.
So he did a video for Veritas, James O'Keefe.
Project for Veritas.
So the IG came with a couple of what he called feds, and they browbeat him to sign a disclosure that everything he said was a lie until he could get out of there. Then he's doubled down and said, and Veritas says they've got video of the feds
doing it to him.
To him. I mean, this is nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I
go back. He's not the only person.
You guys know this shit more.
Well,
than
when
me.
they're censoring it so well, there's a lot more people that are coming out and saying how bad the fraud was.
But what is the bomb? Do you think that Trump's going to come with?
Well,
when you have eyewitnesses,
is it the QSF thing? Do they have somebody on the inside? Oh, stop. I've known of Trump down here for 25 years. My partner's father was the emeritus editor of the National Enquirer, was doing a deal with Trump. Okay, that's when they caught Marla on the beach with her bodyguard, and the Enquirer printed the story, so we lost that. But it could be your QSF. It could be an insider. I can't believe for 1 second, Trump built skyscrapers in New York. You know who he was dealing with to get that done. He's no pansy.
He's always had everything that he's done with the media wise. He's always been one step ahead and letting them fall into his hands to then be like, oh,
Sun Tzu. We talked about that. You haven't seen him on TV since the election.
Yeah.
Tweet once in a while, a picture at a golf course.
Yeah. Sun Tzu, The Art of War book.
Yeah.
He tweeted that too.
And he steps back, and when Art of the Deal came out, Sun Tzu was big. But here's the deal. It's very likely that he saw all this stuff coming because there's only, 10 swing states. The rest of the states. By the way,
you know which way they're going to
he
go.
only lost New York by 9 points. That's unbelievable. So did he put somebody in there? Did he set up a sting?
I think it was a whole entire military operation sting. That's what I really think it was.
They're so confident.
They were. I saw Chris Coons up there, and I hate it because I'm from Delaware.
Who's Chris Coons?
He's the Delaware senator.
Oh God!
And he was just up there
he makes
so.
Blumenthal look like.
Oh my God! He was up there
Sylvester
so
Stallone in his
smug
prime.
on the day of the 3rd.
And he was just up in Delaware, Gary.
And he was just talking up a storm, and I'm like it just seemed like a rat being like, you know what I mean, just confessing, like the way he was projecting how much they were confident in the win and everything. And I was like, dude, when I went to bed when he was talking, Trump was like blowing him out by like in every of those states, and I'm like, what are you talking about? They were marking all Bidens. There'd be 5% in, and then it's like Arizona, Biden. So it looked like the electoral was way higher than what it normally was. But then they'd be like Trump in Florida, 97% in, but they wouldn't call it for Trump yet, which is 29 electoral votes.
Just
That's
like they won't call Georgia right
exactly.
now.
Like
or
so,
no, North Carolina.
It was a lot of
they called it.
They called it for
Decision
Trump.
desk called it today.
To Trump?
Yeah, the Trump, yeah. So it was like certain things like that. They were doing it on purpose, and I think that would discourage people as voters. You know what I mean? Like it was.
Yeah.
It's.
You ready for this?
That's right.
This is Jack Posobiec from OANN. I'm told Project Veritas is currently transcribing the full 2-hour U.S. Postal Service whistleblower intimidation tape and plans to release it in its entirety, raw and unedited.
And what the hell's that?
The whole video
That's
of
what
everything
we
with the
talked
feds.
about when they dragged this guy came out and he talked about his supervisor saying we have to backdate the ballots and this and this and the other thing. So he went and he did a video for Veritas. Well, they called him in, brought the IG office in, Inspector General. Everybody has that office of Inspector General, and they brought in a couple of feds and intimidated him, and he signed a document, and the left ran with it. Oh, he recanted that whole thing. Yeah.
They're posting it on all networks. Notice how the coronavirus Tumblr went away on all the networks too.
Yeah.
Coronavirus disappeared out of nowhere.
So here's what I said when I came in, and I told you, here's Veritas. Now they're going to have a video of these guys being thugs.
Federal agents. It goes hard. You saw what's his name?
The question is this:
Was it McCabe or Comey who was wearing all Biden, and posted about it? And that was the one who Trump fired. That was one who Trump fired. It was McCabe or Comey. Was wearing all the Biden and a Biden mug, and he was sitting his thing. Yeah, Comey. Well, that was our FBI thing. You mean to tell me you're not trying to work and send federal? Because you got federal agents that are supporting Biden, but we're also in that Obama coup. Like he was able to weaponize that in the way he was create that whole aspect and all those agencies for that. Like you're listening to me no more. You don't listen to who's in charge now. You know what I mean? Like a deep state is what they keep saying.
Yeah, and like what I was saying earlier, like, you know, the guy like Trump is very vocal. He's not going on TV.
Yeah.
Now you know that if he didn't have a bag in his pocket to hit somebody with, he would be screaming.
When I saw him golfing, I was like, I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah, I mean
if Biden's up 77 million votes to Trump's 71 million. Look, if they recount it and they take away 6 million and Biden still wins, I'm cool with that. Like I don't have any problem.
No,
he won fair and square. Yeah, fair and square.
There's the postal work.
Yeah.
And he said, I did not recant.
Send that to me, Gary.
How do I do that?
Just text it to me, and I'll put it up when because I'm gonna try to get this out quick. So what I think, and again, I think that when Trump stopped the travel from China and the coronavirus hit February, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. He knew this was going to happen. Now you got to think Trump is a businessman. So his strategy, he's strategizing from the gate. He knew that this mail-in ballot crap was going to happen, everything else. Okay. So from that point on, he's probably already plotting and planning.
When they announced that he was plotting, there's no way he's that dumb. He knew it was. We all knew it was when they were pushing mail-ins. First thing I came to head, fraud.
And he even said that I think in March about the mail-in votes, right? So now there's two things we know about Trump. His ego is bigger than ours.
Huge.
And number two, he hates to lose. And third, he's a huge businessman and strategic as hell. Okay, so he probably started plotting and planning way back then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So what I think he has his people that he trusts, which there's not many around him he can trust, but close people, maybe one or two, maybe three. And they're in states that you wouldn't think that he would be in. You know, smaller states where the count was wrong and they cheated and whatever. And I think he's going to come out and say, look, I got proof that you guys screwed up here, you screwed up here.
Yeah.
And instead of just like Pennsylvania and Georgia, the ones that really matter, you know, he's going to come with, say, 7 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe ones he barely lost, maybe even ones that he won, but by a small margin. He comes with that with the proof, okay? Then he shows what Gary's talking about now with that.
Yeah.
Now, what he needs to do from a court aspect is he doesn't have time to go through to make it long ways. He's got to get to the Superior Court quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He can't do this whole, okay, you go to the county.
I think he's going to –
So he's got to come with the bomb. And to me –
I think they have so much information.
For him to be hitting golf balls and not going live, he's got to have a bomb.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, I'll be disappointed.
He's pretty content.
There's no way in hell – I mean, if he doesn't come with something more than, hey, I want to recount, then you know what? He deserves to lose the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because that ain't going to do it.
Just before I came, they got a picture of Moose Philly, and there was a list.
Who's Moose Philly?
A typewritten list of who they were not going to allow into the polling place.
I saw that.
Corey Lewandowski, poll workers, all Republicans. So they got that. Now it looks to me like this must be what Trump dumped. Dominion Voting Systems hired Act Blue. Talk about a massive conflict of interest. I'm looking for...
what does that even mean in English? Do you know?
No. I guess Act Blue means like it sided for more Democrat.
Now, when do you think he drops the big bomb?
Well, let's see. What he said he was going to drop something tonight, but
he needs bigger. He needs bigger.
And he said next week you would see it all. That's what he said today.
He better do it quick because he's not going to get through the course. But the one thing is that, again, if Biden wins fairly, I'm all for it. I got no problem with it. But
I hate a cheat, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I keep saying, if he wins fair, fine. You know, hands off to him, whatever. He beat him. I got no problem with that, and you know, more power to him. But this, I mean, to say that he got more votes than any other president in the world, I mean, get that or that ever
more than Obama. Get the hell out. Get the fuck out of here.
And Obama was the best talker on the planet
ever. I mean, dude could freaking.
You know what you guys would like? The 1960, not the one with
Here goes Gary with his 30s and 60s. You gotta remember, we weren't even thought about back then.
It's all the same. 1939, James Stewart.
I don't know.
We don't know who the hell that is. He's how old are you?
26.
I'm just telling you.
I know.
It was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and guess what he ran into when he went to Washington? Crooked politicians.
Yeah.
The Manchurian Candidate is
It's all about that. Yeah.
No, the Manchurian Candidate's different.
But it's about like the
where the
sleeper
Red
cells.
Chinese take a U.S. prisoner of war and turn them into an assassin. This is your conspiracy crap.
Yeah.
That they can call to be a killer.
Oh, you come here enough, you'll start believing this conspiracy crap.
That's pretty real.
But I'm telling you,
yeah, I know
that this was the whole thing in the 50s and the 60s that the Reds were in here and they were. What's the same thing now?
It's MK Ultra. They were brainwashing people to become trained killers.
Brainwashing was the buzzword.
Yeah, we went over that on the last one. The MK Ultra.
MK Ultra is just media now.
Do you know about that, Gary?
No.
I have to have
MK
Brandon
Ultra?
touch on this because he knows it so good.
MK Ultra is like.
Is that the one where they were
I'm
pulling
listening.
Adrenaline from?
No, that's
that-
the adrenochrome and everything.
Oh, Christ.
It goes.
That one make you sick.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah,
sick.
tell them about the MK Ultra.
MK Ultra is just a disinformation project through the CIA, and it pretty much came in the form of propaganda back in the 60s for Vietnam, and then it just became more and more weaponized to what we're seeing now with the media and how their views are, you know what I mean? And they weaponize it with all, like, Snapchat, Facebook, like, when I go on my Snapchat, just the titles that you see that are so far leaning towards putting Trump down under, it keeps you in that same rhythm of when you keep seeing it all over, you're like, I hate this guy and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
You can ask that for most people. Why do you hate Trump?
Well, it brainwashes you, right?
Because media tells me to.
Yeah.
Because all the things he's done, I'm like, what things? Can you tell me? And they're like, well, he did this. Can you show me the video? Well, I was just told. It was mainly when Disney was the brainwashing for it. At first, it became like per person, like an actual experiment, which kind of what Lee Harvey Oswald was, is what I think. And then it became into the public. And you have Henry Kissinger, which is, I mean, you know who that is. Henry Kissinger, he's like one of the top 5 most powerful people in the world with all the military and everything. And literally he has on record him saying, he goes, when the American public believes everything that they read is either true or not true, he goes, that's when the project is fully done. And that's what we're at this stage in our life. And he said this in the years and years ago.
Yeah.
It's just...
So...
like you wake up out of the reality almost.
Yeah,
and I started realizing everything. Like whenever I'm watching TV, I even tell my girl, I'm like, yo, I'm like, look at this. This is what I'm telling you about. Like, and you don't even realize it until you say it. She goes, wow, I didn't notice that. I didn't know. You know what I mean? It's just
because
everything.
Because it's on
movies,
open.
everything. It's subliminally training your free thoughts and everything. And when you break out of it, you feel like you literally feel like a whole different person.
Yeah,
like
and then that leads to what we had talked about before.
All the conspiracy.
What does it lead to?
Everything. Yeah. Yep.
Right.
So in the period of time that we came here, 71 minutes ago, from the time I left my house, I'm 7 minutes here. So 71 minutes. Okay, this is what happened. Donald Trump is on his way to winning Arizona. The recounts are coming in. The new votes are coming in. They're skewing to Trump, 52 to 41, something like that. Okay. Then in Michigan, explosive evidence. This is just now. Of Trump to Biden vote switching, 138,000 votes. The precinct level data in 4 counties shows sounds of an algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
MIT PhD. Oakland County is one of the counties where the reversed glitch led to a GOP winner. We're picking up House seats from this.
Yeah, a lot.
We're picking up House seats.
Notice how Biden got the most
Garrett,
votes
stand
ever.
to the microphone.
Yeah, so that's 2 things. Then Ronna McDaniel was on Hannity. Well, then you get the USPS postal worker who's saying, and then how they got video. How my wife says, how did they get video? Well, he's got the little cameras. They must have wired the kid when he was in, and the post office guys were too stupid to check him for wires. And the guy says to him, well, I'm going to twist you a little bit. This is what they said. I mean, so here's what's happening. Is that the time that goes by, every hour that goes by, they continue to step all over themselves and do stupid stuff.
I know.
Okay, and here's another thing. Now Biden came out pushing today. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has offered $1 million of his own campaign fund to any whistleblower in Texas that knows election fraud.
I saw that.
To beat Trump in Texas?
No, Trump already won Texas.
To show any voter fraud.
He wants
with Trump? I haven't heard one thing about voter fraud with Trump.
No. He's saying he's offering $1 million for anybody who comes saying that they saw voter fraud.
Why does he pick Texas?
Because he's the governor of Texas.
He's saying anybody that they were trying to, because they were trying to say that Texas was going to switch.
Yeah.
They were trying to say that. So,
Wow.
and Texas ain't switching.
No.
And then Ronna McDaniel came in and said she found a bunch of. So here's.
So did they call Arizona?
No. Yeah.
How the hell didn't they call her? Did they call North Carolina?
Yes.
So that's Trump.
Yes.
So they didn't call Arizona, but he's going to win it.
There's Georgia, Michigan.
Now here's.
What's Georgia looking like right now?
I think
that's a mess.
Georgia's going to be a while.
Here's Maricopa County's posted 5,291 new ballots. Breakdown: Trump 56.4, Biden 41.8. This guy Schweikert, who I follow out of Arizona, says Trump needed a little more out of this, say 1,000. But this isn't questionable. If all of these races are close, then they have to be either recanvassed or votes have to be thrown out, one of the two. And either way, he can win straight up. Okay? He can win straight up.
Now, before we close this up,
Yeah.
If he doesn't win Pennsylvania, what does he need to win?
He's going to win Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you got to count.
I
You
don't
get those
think he
20
will.
votes. Okay, well,
then he lost.
Then he lost.
He doesn't win
I
Pennsylvania. He lost.
don't think he'll pull it off.
It'll be I think he won Pennsylvania by a lot.
How the hell is he going to win
I think he won.
Pennsylvania?
What do you mean?
Because he won it by 600,000.
He won it by so many.
Yep.
Any vote that came in.
Okay, so both
backdating.
you, both of you guys are better at this than me. So tell me what he's going to take to the courts for them to switch up Pennsylvania.
Just the video. Just the video. If you're showing it in other states, they can show it in that state.
That's not enough.
They're going to the courts.
It isn't. That
they're
is
going
enough.
to the courts, and they're going to say.
I hope I'm wrong. It's not like I'm.
They're going to say any vote that came in after Election Day, close of business, you throw it out, because that's state law. That's what Giuliani said.
Okay, right.
Now he's an automatic winner.
But now he's but here's the problem. He's contradicting himself because he's saying, okay, you need to stop Pennsylvania on this day, but you can let Arizona and North Carolina and wherever else run.
If the votes are illegal, here's what they did in one, and I can't remember what state it was. They threw the envelopes away. Votes are now no good because it's all on postmark, right?
What do you think?
They're gonna throw away a lot of the votes.
In PA?
Yeah.
You think he's going to win PA?
Oh yeah.
Dude, he does not win the presidency if he does not win PA.
I don't think he can pull it off.
He is winning
He was
PA.
up 600,000
He
votes.
was up more at one point. It was like 3.2
And then
million
Biden
to
gets
2.5.
ahead. So there's 600,000 or 700,000 illegal votes in there for Biden.
I understand that, but he's got to get that to the Supreme
Well, they're
Court
going to have
quick.
to. What they're going to have to do on a governmental level, if they look at all this, and they let Biden become president, this country is going to be a shit show for 4 years.
Okay, well, here's the deal. You guys may be right, but to get to the Supreme Court,
I don't know the information they have. They obviously have something if they want to be pressing it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. I've shown what I've shown. I'm sure they're going to be showing that. I'm sure they have.
He's got to have more than what you guys are saying. Because
of course he does.
he
has
NSA.
We were guessing about what it was. We don't know what
We
it
don't
was.
know. If I knew, I wouldn't be here in this seat. I'd be much higher up in the government.
Right.
Here.
Well, all I can say is this: he better move quick because
They're moving quickly. Giuliani was on before I came out.
I like Giuliani, but he's not enough.
Look, in the 2 hours that have
Okay,
stuff is
listen,
happening
Gary,
on an
listen to
hourly
me.
basis.
Gary, listen.
Yeah.
For it to get to the Supreme Court that quick, usually you have to go through phase
Supreme
one.
Court is only happening if he's trying to fight to show it. But if there's already evidence of it, then you don't need the Supreme Court.
No, he needs the Supreme Court. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's just hand sanitizer. I mean, I agree with you, but to disagree. No way. He's got to get to the Supreme Court, in my opinion.
Well, I guess we'll find out in the next few days by the 12th.
But look at how fast it's going.
Yeah, it'll be moving quick.
It's going so.
But again,
2 days, 2 more days.
Sidney Powell was on tonight.
I'm just being devil's advocate. You know what I mean?
Sidney Powell was on tonight. She's got a new website. She's dynamite, and she's talking about. It was Elizabeth McDonald was on Fox Business. Well, what are you doing? Well, we've got this, and we're getting a lot of volunteer attorneys, and we're sending them out, and and we could use some more help, and we could use some more money, but this is where we're going. This is what we've got. Now, that's Flynn's attorney. And, the whole thing is when you're fighting a battle like this, you got to think about who your enemy is. And you can't be thinking. I always go back to McClellan and Lee in 1861. McClellan will not fight. He's got 4 times the troops that General Lee has. And he wants more and more troops. And Lee's over there with 20,000 troops riding up and down the Potomac, making noise, making the sound. And McClellan didn't fight. And the Confederates win the first battle of Bull Run. You have to know who your opponent is. And we're all projecting upon these people that they're superheroes. No, they're scum. And they'll do anything possible to make their customer win, their side win. And you know what? That U.S. Postal Service thing is a prime example. And you do like Trump and you step back and they're going to put their neck in the noose.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right,
That's part of it.
So, Brian, what do you think? You think Trump pulls it off?
Yeah, I've been saying it.
What do you think, Gary?
Yep.
You said 70% earlier.
Yep.
What do you think now? What's your percentage?
I like his chances at 75%. Winning it outright.
That's what I'm saying, winning it outright.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
All
winning
he's got to
outright.
do is, if he wins Pennsylvania.
I think he has the most votes ever for president. I think they're going to take 15 million votes away
Joe
from
says,
Biden.
I got 75
Now, how long do
million
you think that'll
votes."
take, Bren?
At least until December.
If he pulls that off, it's good.
First, yeah, I think the 13th of December is one of the deadlines.
Yeah.
All right, what we'll do is we'll see what the outcome is, and then we'll have you both back in together. Thank you for coming in, Gary.
Yes,
I appreciate it. You're always a
Yes,
laugh.
sir. Listen, I want you to look up Dan Pena
Yeah.
and watch his Antarctica bit.
No, I probably have already seen it.
Yeah, I can't believe we were talking about it, and I forgot that.
Yeah,
that
you got to watch Dan
ago.
Pena.
Pena.
Yeah.
Pena.
He will
P-E-N.
crack you
Okay.
up to death. He's
All
a
right.
nut.
All right,
He's a nut, but he's a
Well,
beast.
you know-
He lives by the Machiavellian code.
Yeah,
Okay.
but here's the deal. When he started talking about Antarctica, something I knew something about,
Yeah.
and he took his wife down there. There was some kind of trip or something,
Mhm.
and then you started talking about it. And I go, yeah, he's right on, because I lived with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he calls him before we close. What does Penny call the people that believe in climate change and
Probably something nasty.
Listen, you cannot watch him and not laugh. I mean, the
Okay.
guy's a nutcase, but he's very intelligent, extremely intelligent, and he's really the $50 billion man. They call him that because he's taken, like, say, a guy like you with intelligence, and taken them from 300K in Tesla. You go to his shit, he puts you through hell. It's like the fucking army for a week.
Oh yeah, he's got a boot camp in Scotland.
Yeah,
He
he's
just
got to cancel
berates
this
you.
fucking guy.
Hey, he just berates you for like 30 grand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He
Pay him
pays
30 grand.
25K.
He yells at you. You give me 10, okay?
I'll
I'll
yeah.
call you all kinds of names.
But Penny wins. All right, so we'll have you two back in. We'll see what happens with this. Thank you very much, Gary, for
I'll have to look that up.
participating, and thank you, Brennan, as always.
Thanks for having me.